What's good, y'all? It's your boy Tony the Savant back with another one. Let's do the intro. Shout out to my cousin Hawk, that's the ambassador. Shout out to my boy Jeezy, that's the manager, making moves over here. And shout out to y'all, man. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you pulling up to the video. Let's get into it. My boy Rich Paul, man. My boy Rich Paul. You know, when I was listening to this interview, I got to listen to this particular segment where Rich Paul essentially discusses that the Miami Heat and LeBron James were a 50-50 agreement, essentially. That Miami is just as grateful for LeBron James coming to Miami as LeBron James was for Miami, you know, having the structure and all that stuff. It's wild how these dudes revisit history and try to rewrite it, because I remember at some point, and I haven't really heard anybody other content creators, you know, I ain't heard nobody in the YouTube street say this just yet, but remember when everybody was saying that LeBron James going to Miami was like LeBron James going to college? You dig? You know what I mean? I remember that. That was like LeBron James. I think it was Chris Broussard that probably even started this line of saying that LeBron James went straight from high school to the NBA. He never really had a college career, but him going to Miami was like his college career, because that's where he learned how to quote unquote win. That's what the narrative has been about that, the whole Miami thing. Miami was, if you want to say anything, it was a 75-25 agreement. Let's just be a buck. All right. It wasn't a 50-50 agreement by any means. LeBron James knew that going to Miami, a lot of the basketball pressure would be off of him. A lot of the flaws that he had on the basketball court would be covered up, because Dwayne Wade was an exceptional talent. Chris Bosh was an exceptional talent. And now the teams that Pat Riley is probably one of the GOATs as a general manager and as a coach, as one of the basketball minds, period. You know what I mean? If you ain't got Pat Riley as one of your top 5, top 3 basketball geniuses, there's something wrong with your list. But in the same breath, LeBron James was aware of all of this stuff, just like we've all been aware of this stuff for eons, since the beginning of time. The Miami Heat came around in 1988. But we knew since the beginning of time that Miami Heat culture was a thing. You know what I mean? I'm just saying it like, this ain't nothing new. There's nothing that LeBron James brought to Miami that gave them a boost other than his exceptional talents from the first to the third quarter. You know what I mean? Like, let's just keep it real. But Rich Paul in this interview came out of his mouth and just said some of the wildest things. And I just want to take this time, because listening to this interview made me think of a particular time in my content creating career that I want to share with y'all. It's not a long story, but it's just something that it came to my mind when I was listening to Rich Paul say these crazy things. And it's about LeBron James fans. I call them Bron stands. We all know this Bron sexuals. We know I got a new one for them, the Brongregation. You know what I mean? It's all kind of names out there for these guys. I am of my hotline for the LeBron James fans is that these dudes deserve their own page in a psychological psychology page, a psychology course. One page of your psychology book should be dedicated to Bron sexuals. I call them Bron stands. Because these dudes are delusional, man. They go out of their way to ignore basic facts. And so this story that I want to tell y'all is basically about the basketball group on Facebook that I was in, and that encouraged me to start my YouTube career. Short story about these dudes, they're just a bunch of guys that, I linked up with randomly. I don't know them personally, but when I was in the group, it was super dope, because it felt like at that time, this was the first basketball group that I was in where it was a equal, like a synergy, where everybody was very aware of basketball facts. I mean, when the KD conversations came up, everybody was pretty much on the same page. When the Steph Curry conversations came up, everybody was on the same page. When Westbrook, all that stuff, during his time with the Lakers, that was about the time I was in the group. everybody was on the same page, especially in our opposition against Skip. These dudes knew basketball, I thought. And then it didn't take long, of course, but the LeBron James versus Michael Jordan conversations come up. And these dudes were aggressive, bro. Let me tell y'all, they went out of their way to like just ignore stupid little stuff like, LeBron James rookie year versus Michael Jordan's rookie year. Everybody says, I don't know what, the narratives and the lines they come up with for LeBron. But just comparing rookie to rookie years, you see that Michael Jordan is an exceptionally better player from day one than LeBron James is. Like, from the day one, Michael Jordan came in as probably the most dangerous dude in the NBA. And picture Michael Jordan coming into the league on, like, say, the Boston Celtics. You thinking he ain't got 10, 11, 20 rings probably right now? If young Michael Jordan won 6 rings with the Larry Bird Celtics, and then he wins another 6 rings with his own Bulls. This is what we're talking about. This is how dangerous Michael Jordan was from day one. So the point I'm making is that LeBron James fans can't even start a GOAT debate, because from day one, you could say, if you're a Jordan fan, my guy was better than your guy. You know what I mean? Michael Jordan put up 28 points a game his rookie year. LeBron James doesn't even average 28 a game for his career. That's what we're talking about. That's what I'm saying right now. It's the matter of the fact that when you say something like that to a LeBron James fan, bro, you just disrespected them to the highest order. Like stop the press. You feel me? Like, who are you to talk to LeBron James this way when this is a habitual fact that's in your face, Googleable? I'm not making this up. I'm not coming up with an original thought when I say Michael Jordan is a better player than LeBron James. There's evidence that substantiates that argument. But like I said about this group, when I would bring up stupid little stuff like that, they would get aggressive, bro. It would be a totally different thing, like a whole argument. And so, originally, there would be a number of Michael Jordan fans in the group, and there'd be a number of LeBron James fans in the group. Well, what I started noticing over time is like the dudes, and it was kind of like a pecking order. Like, it was other dudes with seniority in the group that had, Michael Jordan, stances to oppose these LeBron James fans. And as these dudes was like, you could say disappearing, I just thought they wasn't active in the group no more. But they were disappearing one by one. Eventually I was the next guy in order, next guy up. And I don't know if those dudes were inactive. I never checked the numbers, to see if they was inactive or whatever was the case. I just know that I became public enemy number one, because if I posted a Michael Jordan me up post, or if I posted a LeBron James post, you know what I mean, it would spark 40 comments would go up, quick, swiftly. It would be 40 comments on that thing within an hour. Well, if you post something about I don't know, the FIBA team, these dudes it would be 2 or 3 comments from the dudes that comment on everything. You know what I'm saying? If you've been in Facebook groups or basketball communities of any sort, you know what I'm talking about, man. It's a wild world. It's a crazy world. But anyway, what I started noticing is that over time, and I was only in this group for about a year, maybe, not even. Over time, I became public enemy number one, because I would bring up LeBron James facts, and after so long, I began getting entertained by it. Like, their anger was entertaining me. Like, I noticed I was wasting time. My wife would be like, "You still on your phone, going back and forth with these fools?" And it's not like I don't want to be catty. Like, I'm not trying to be messy. It's just that how upset they would be getting would be entertainment for me on my off time while I'm, making a bottle for a newborn, or feeding a newborn baby with a bottle. I'm going at these fools. But anyway, after so long, man, they started doxing me, bro. It was crazy. Started looking up my family members and all this kind of stuff, and nothing ever came of it. I was never worried about it or pressed, because LeBron James fans are very they're very peculiar people, like I say. They deserve their own little page in somebody's psychology course. But in the same time, that's how far I went with these dudes, because they hate the habitual facts. They hate facts, guys. They hate it. It's gonna be a LeBron James fan in the comment section just hating the fact And I'm even talking about the facts. You know what I'm saying? So that's how far. That's how I run this thing. That's how far deep this thing goes for them. So when I'm listening to this Rich Paul interview talking about him, LeBron James was a 50-50 partner with the. And this, I'm not quoting him verbatim when I say this, man. I like to kind of say it in my own words, so y'all can go watch the actual interview and you can catch your own opinions from it. This is just my commentary on it, you know what I mean? And if you haven't, please like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the notification bell, so you can be notified when I'm dropping content on this channel. I greatly appreciate that. But this was on Gilbert Arenas' podcast, and he had Rich Paul up there, and they was doing the age-old, not even relevant any longer, LeBron James versus Michael Jordan debate. And Rich Paul was saying all kind of crazy stuff, man. It was numbing my mind, honestly, because Rich Paul is probably the president, probably the franchise player for LeBron stands. You know what I mean? Like, this is where he's directly connected to the source of where these narratives are coming from, if not the reason. If he's not cooking up this stuff himself and telling LeBron James, like, this is what it's gonna be. I don't know what these dudes come up with when they're chilling and just talking to each other. I'm talking about the LeBron James camp. I just know that by the time certain events have passed and certain things have conspired, these dudes got an excuse already cooked up, and like they had it going. They had this idea a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? It was awfully crazy to me how LeBron James just all of a sudden wanted to retire after he got swept, when everything before that, was Ring 5 loading. He was activating playoff mode. I know he said that in the previous seasons, but just all this silly talk. You know what I mean? Like, you should have been talking about retirement 5 years ago, sir. You know what I mean? But anyway, like I say, the mind-numbing stuff that comes from these guys, man, it's only because they hate facts, bro. So they gonna say everything else. Rich Paul was trying to get a violin played, you know what I mean, with all the excuses he was coming up with, and it's nothing like I say. I'm not trying to sound like a quote-unquote LeBron hater or whatever y'all cook up, you know what I'm saying, something like that. What I'm saying is that stop ignoring the facts, guys. We don't have to have these conversations that don't have to be had. I'm going to be the first person. What do you call me, a LeBron James hater or whatever? I'll be the first person to tell you LeBron James is one of the greatest basketball players I've ever seen. When I was watching the young LeBron, that was my favorite version of LeBron. I was actually a fan of LeBron. If I had a YouTube channel back in 2003 through 2010, if I had a YouTube channel, bro, it would have been a bunch of, LeBron went crazy. This dude might be my favorite player. The only person that was really in contention for my favorite player with LeBron during that time was Dwayne Wade. Honestly, Dwayne Wade was my favorite player from about 2003 to about 2010. You know what I mean? Then Kobe was always number 2 or somewhere on the list. Tim Duncan was always in there somewhere. Brandon Roy was in the mix back in those days. T-Mac was back in the mix in those days. But of all of them, because especially because, he was a local, I watched D-Wade at Marquette. And I don't remember. I watched one game. I went with like my older cousin who was a diehard fan. Like, he had some D-Wades before D-Wade even had them out. It was crazy how diehard of a fan he was of D-Wades. But anyway, D-Wade was my favorite player back then. But LeBron James was in the mix. That's what I'm trying to say. Those first 7 years, the first Cleveland Cavalier LeBron, bro, that's my favorite player. It was only after he left, one of my favorite players. Excuse my redaction. It's only after he left and went to Miami and he started all these crazy antics, just being going at teammates and trying to get coaches fired, which it came out after all of that he'd been trying to do all that stuff. We just his talent literally overshadowed all of his antics, and we all know Jordan had his crap behind the scenes, Kobe had his crap behind the scenes, so we're not exempting LeBron James from being a superstar, essentially, but we are exempt. We can't accept the excuses. We cannot accept the rewriting of history. We can't accept that y'all are trying to come up with made up realities. You know what I mean? That's what you got to do at this point, because Rich Paul was saying something on the lines of like LeBron James increased the rate and had like better ratings than Jordan. It's like, boy, are you crazy? This is what's so ecstatic about Jordan. Jordan was doing crazy numbers, and there was no social media around when he was there. Can you imagine the numbers that Jordan would have been doing on Facebook and all this kind of stuff? You know what I mean? Like, not even saying like, okay, we would have got a different version of Jordan, of course, too, because social media, it does, it doesn't allow for these athletes to have much privacy. And one of the better parts of Jordan, we should say, is the fact that he takes so much pride in his privacy, and he kind of just he walks in his celebrity a little differently, to his credit. But if he was on social media, Jordan does numbers now. Like, come on, bro. A Jordan interview or a Jordan line about Larsa Pippen and Marcus Jordan, that's gonna do numbers, fam. Stop. Y'all need to stop, bro. You know what I mean? So there's no way in the world you telling me LeBron James numbers, his ratings was better than Jordan's. You know what I mean? Right now to this day, it's still a standing, habitual, Googleable fact. All right, you Bron stans, you can go look at this. The game that has done the highest ratings in NBA history is a Michael Jordan game. His last game is as a Chicago Bull, essentially. You know what I mean? That's a standing fact. And your boy been playing for 20 years. You know what I mean? Now, LeBron James has done his numbers, but so has Steph Curry in the LeBron James era. That's why I be kind of bamboozled as to how LeBron James, this is just the undisputed LeBron James era. Like, nah, man, I got to stop the cap. But that's just my thoughts on it, man. Y'all tell me what y'all think about it in the comment section. Sorry this video went so long. I just had to get these bars off because, like I said, it took me down memory lane listening to this good cap. So, but that's all that I got for it. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I'm dropping content on this channel. Y'all the bosses. I'm the dude that love to put in work, so let me get back to work. Peace.